Hello and welcome to KOVI Fabrics DIY channel. My name is Amy and I'm visiting you from Artisan Upholstery Studio right here on YouTube. I'm going to be guiding you through a dining room inspiration series, and today we have our first video, how to reupholster your slip seat dining chair.
Now this is a slip seat. It just slips right out of your dining chair. These are beautiful antique chairs that we're using, and there are 4 of them, all mismatched, but we're going to make them match with this gorgeous silk bee fabric. The bees are so lovely. They stick right out. They're very textural. They're like embroidered into the silk. Just lovely. First thing that we want to do is take off the old liner. And then you're going to use a staple remover and some pliers to finish the job. The staple remover is great for prying out tacks and also staples if your seats have staples. And I'm going to show you how to do staples right after this one. So you want to keep all the padding intact, especially if it's an antique chair. We're going to reuse all the old padding, and the reason that we want to do that is to keep it an antique. This is horsehair and burlap, and it's covered with a layer of cotton, and underneath it's jute webbing. Now to get the staples out, you just pry them out the same as you would the tacks. Now to measure for the fabric, you want to wrap it around on both sides a couple of inches. So give yourself room to tack underneath, and then to get your front and back measurement, it's the same. Make sure that you are working with a clean surface. Now because our fabric has a pattern, we want to make sure that we center it and have it the same on each dining seat. So that's going to be our center B. So we want to measure out from that one to do our 22 wide, and make sure that you have enough to do another one right beside it. And then the front to back measurement was 19. So we're going to cut that right in the middle of the B's so that each of the chairs is going to be exactly the same. Now we're going to pad this up with more cotton, and I've got really nice thick cotton that I'm going to use. Now center your fabric on the chair. Be careful when you flip it over so that it doesn't shift. Now you want to center the B on the back. Make sure that it's in the middle. You can measure it if you're not going to trust your eye for that. Okay, so then you do the front, and then you can do each side. Now after you do those 4 points, you want to check and make sure that everything is straight and centered. It's straight. Okay, so starting at the front, you want to pull it to the side, nice and tight, to get rid of any puckers or wrinkles. And just put one staple in to hold it. And then go ahead and do the other side. Again, pull it nice and tight to the side. And just put one staple to hold it. Now you're going to flip it over and do the back. Now, not only are you making sure that it's nice and tight, but you're making sure that on one side the B is in the same place as it is on the other side. And it's important to work your way all the way around and just put these tacks in and not, finish it off on one side by putting a bunch in, because you want to make sure that everything stays nice and straight. So you just get everything done and then you can fill it in. So this is our last staple. We want to make sure that the B's are in the same place. All right, so making sure everything is nice and straight. So now we can fill in those staples. We're just going to take the puckers out, make sure everything is nice and straight, and just fill it in with a few staples. You don't need to go crazy with the staples, just enough to hold it. All right, so here we have the straight and even B fabric. We're going to do our corners next. And when you're doing your corners, you want to pull it as tight as you can so that it stays pucker free. And if any staples are in your way, just pull them out. All right, so you want to trim out all the extra fabric here. And you want to leave enough to fold over, but take out as much fabric as you can while still being able to fold it over. I'll pull it fairly tight, put in a few staples, and then you want to cut out the extra. And then you want to cover any rough edges with this fabric here, and then trim. See, this fabric creates a lot of little dangly strings, but I'm going to show you how to take care of that problem in a minute. So here's our beautiful seat with no puckers and no wrinkles. Everything's nice and tight, and there's a nice crown. So here's how we take care of those rough edges. We don't want any strings hanging down once it's all finished and at the dining room table. So this is our bottom liner. And you just cut it to size and fold it under. And you're going to tack it on the same way that we tacked the fabric on. So front, back, side, side. And then you do your corners. So here are our beautiful finished chairs. You can see the striking gold bees really highlights the floor color. That's pretty cool.
In our next video, we're going to be using this gorgeous gold silk fabric to make a slip cover. So it coordinates so nicely with our bee fabric. You're going to want to make sure that you watch that one. See you next time.